Good afternoon and many thanks for joining us on the program for today. I'm Fatima Abubakar Oibo. The headlines. Tinubu ends emergency rule, reinstates Fubara in River State power shift. Atiku slams Fubara reinstatement, labels Tinubu's move unconstitutional. NAF precision strike decimates terrorist stronghold in Borno. And on the foreign scene, Trump declares Antifa a major terrorist organization amid rising tensions. Details of the stories and more to come shortly after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. In a decisive move to restore democratic governance, President Bola Tinubu has lifted the emergency rule in River State, reinstating Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu, along with a full House of Assembly. The announcement marks the end of a 6-month political standoff that saw the state run by sole administrator, retired Rear Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, following escalating tensions between rival factions. The presidency emphasized that the decision was driven by commitment to constitutional order and national stability. A senior aide to the president stated that Tinubu acted to preserve the integrity of democratic institutions and ensure peace in the region, signaling a shift away from unilateral control and toward reconciliation. The reinstatement is expected to recalibrate the balance of power in River State, where political loyalties have been sharply divided. Observers say the development could weaken the influence of Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, whose allies had previously dominated the state's political landscape. With Fubara back in office, analysis anticipates a renewed push for autonomy and governance reforms. The move has been widely interpreted as a strategic recalibration by the presidency ahead of the 2027 general elections. Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has criticized the reinstatement of River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, describing it as an empty gesture that fails to correct what he called a fundamental breach of democratic norms. Reacting to President Bola Tinubu's decision to end the emergency rule and restore Fubara's mandate, Atiku argued that the original suspension was illegal and remains so, regardless of its reversal. Speaking through his media team, Atiku maintained that the presidency had no constitutional authority to suspend a democratically elected governor or state lawmakers. He said the move exemplified what he sees as a growing authoritarian trend under Tinubu's administration, warning that such actions undermine the rule of law and erode public trust in democratic institutions. Atiku remarks come amid mixed reactions to the president's directive, which saw Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and the River State House of Assembly resume office after 6 months of emergency governance. While some hailed the decision as a return to normalcy, Atiku insisted that there's nothing to celebrate when the foundation of democracy is being chipped away. In another development, the Nigerian Air Force has confirmed the successful execution of targeted airstrikes that neutralized dozens of terrorists and obliterated a key insurgent enclave in Borno State. The operation, carried out by the air component of Operation Hatinkai on Wednesday morning, followed intelligence reports of suspicious activity in the Bula Majibale area of Gezua, where roughly 45 insurgents had converged, many arriving on motorcycles and bicycles. According to Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame, Director of Public Relations and Information Surveillance, revealed 2 terrorist flags hoisted at the site, marking it as a rallying point. Acting on the intelligence, NAF launched precision strikes around 10:50 a.m., delivering what officials described as a devastating impact on the gathering. The air interdiction not only eliminated several fighters, but also destroyed the flag structure and other hostile assets within the compound. Military authorities said the operation is part of a broader strategy to deny insurgents the ability to regroup or launch further attacks on civilian communities. Ejodame reiterated the armed forces' commitment to restoring peace and stability in the northeast, stating that the mission underscores their resolve to protect innocent lives and dismantle terrorist networks. You're still watching news analysis right here on Politics and Business Television Abuja. Still to come, federal government disburses 330 billion naira in cash transfers to 8.1 million vulnerable households. Details of this headline and more news content after a quick break. Stay with us. Now on to business matters. The federal government has announced the disbursement of 330 billion naira to 8.1 million households under the National Social Safety Net program aimed at cushioning the impact of recent economic reforms. The initiative, which resumed after earlier delays, provides a 25,000 naira stipend to qualifying families, with some receiving multiple tranches depending on verification outcomes. Finance Minister Wale Ado revealed that biometric integration through the National Identification Number and bank verification number was key to ensuring transparency and eliminating political interference. He emphasized that the program is now firmly back on track and noted that an additional 2.2 million households were paid in the latest cycle following successful data validation. Supported in part by an $800 million World Bank loan, the program has expanded its reach from an initial target of 15 million to 19.7 million households. Eden described the digital payment system as robust and sustainable, asserting that Nigeria now has the infrastructure to provide direct support to vulnerable groups on an annual basis. On to the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has announced his intent to formally designate Antifa, a loosely affiliated far-left movement, as a major terrorist organization following the recent assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. In a post on Truth Social, Trump described the group as a dangerous and radical threat and called for investigations into its alleged financial backers. The move reignites a long-standing debate over how domestic extremist groups are classified, especially given Antifa's decentralized nature and lack of formal leadership. Legal experts have noted that U.S. law does not currently provide a mechanism for labeling domestic entities as terrorist organizations in the same way foreign groups are designated. Despite this, Trump's administration insists the designation is part of a broader crackdown on what it views as politically motivated violence. Critics argue the announcement could be used to suppress dissent and target ideological opponents, while supporters claim it's necessary to step to curb unrest. The timing, just days after Kirk's killing, has added urgency and controversy to the decision, with Trump stating that those funding
Tom with the latest P&B Sports update. History has been made on the track as Ezekiel Nathaniel stormed into the 400-meter hurdles finals at the 2025 World Athletic Championship. He became the first Nigerian man since Harry Amike in 1987 to achieve this feat. Nathaniel clocked an impressive 44.47 seconds, the fastest time across the semi-finals. The big question now is, can he crown this performance with a medal for Nigeria in Tokyo? While in football, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria have officially named their squad as preparations begin for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. Among the goalkeepers called up is Ebenezer Harcourt. The defense will be anchored by players such as Ocheche Amos Onyejafu and Odinaka Okoro. In midfield, Israel Ayuma makes the list, while the forward line is led by Achichi Ose and Sani Suleiman and Tahi Magana. That's your P&B Sports News. I'm Aroko Tom. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Now on to the focus of the day. So across Nigeria, education has long been described as a bedrock of development, but recent reports paint a troubling picture. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) has raised fresh alarm over the worsening trend of examination malpractice, warning that the integrity of our education system is under serious threat. From impersonation to the use of mobile devices, collusion among candidates, and even syndicates operating in the shadows, the scale of malpractice uncovered in recent examinations is staggering. And according to JAMB, the situation is no longer just about a few dishonest students. It is fast becoming a national crisis involving schools, parents, and even community actors who normalize cheating as a pathway to success. On our focus today, we'll be unpacking why exam malpractice is on the rise and what it means for the quality of graduates Nigeria produces, and whether the system is doing enough to restore credibility to our educational process. We'll also be asking what is the role of parents, teachers, and the wider society in tackling this menace. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll be speaking with Professor Kabiru Bala. He is the immediate past Vice Chancellor of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. He is an educationist, a parent, and overall a Nigerian who has the interest of the Nigerian education system at heart. Stay with us and don't go anywhere. Back. As I said before we went on the break, we'll be speaking, or should I say we'll be unpacking this discussion with Professor Kabiru Bala. He's the immediate past Vice Chancellor of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. He's not just an educationist, he's also passionate about the Nigerian education system. He's also a parent and a Nigerian citizen, and we'll be unpacking this discussion together with him. Professor, welcome to the show. So let's get into it. So let's start from the scope of the problem. So you flagged a surge in malpractice cases. From your experience, what are the root causes behind this worrying trend?
Thank you very much. From my experience, I think there are quite a number of One, you will hear that there are limited spaces in Nigerian educational system. That's the number of spaces that are available to candidates who apply for JAM, for university admission through JAM. That is the basic filter in the Nigerian education system for students to go into universities and other tertiary institutions. So for a long time, we hear that we have less than 2 million slots. 500,000 one time to 1 million to 1.5 million, but the numbers of students are increasing. So maybe because of the inadequacy of the spaces in the system, so everybody wants to do whatever they could in order to pass the exam and have a chance to be admitted into a university in Nigeria. There is peer group pressure also, and there is pressure from the parents also. And so these are a few factors that contribute to perhaps this increased surge, as we call it, in students engaging in exam misconduct.
Okay, so you said we're not supposed to call it examination malpractice, we should call it misconduct. Why do you think we shouldn't call it? Because for a long time we've been calling it examination malpractice.
Yes.
So why do you think we should call it misconduct instead of malpractice?
Thank you very much for that question. I'm happy it is coming at the beginning of the program. You see, we have a judicial system, and I don't want to talk there, the learned people. I don't want to ask why they do certain things. But for a long time, the students, when we sanction students, for exam, examination, offenses, students will go to court, and based on technical reasons, students will win. The student the student will confess that they engaged in misconduct in many, many ways. We have them. And the sanctions provided for by the Senate of the university will be applied on the students. But students will look at some technical loopholes. They will go to court, and the court will give the judgment to them. And this is it. They say malpractice is a criminal offense, and only a court of competent jurisdiction can sanction. That is purely technical. From time we can't remember, right from primary school, when students engaged in this misconduct, it was exam malpractice, and they are punished. So, but everything is subject in democracy, I understand, to freedom of speech and whatever they call it. So now you have to call it misconduct if you want to really sanction the student. This is the sample, I brought it for you from the Federal University Exam Regulations. So we call it misconduct and not malpractice, because the courts say that is a strong word. It's for criminal offense, and only a court of competent jurisdiction can give sanctions.
So what in a layman understanding, because in this show I'm a layman, so in a layman understanding, what you're trying to say is when a student does examination misconduct, they are not to be tagged as a criminal. So that's why they don't want it to be called examination malpractice.
No, not necessarily so. The offense is a criminal offense.
Also, malpractice is a criminal offense.
Thank you. There was a decree 21 or so, sometimes. So.
Okay, so let's because of that question, let's move on to, because I was coming to that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to technology's role, right? So has technology become more of a weapon for this examination misconduct than a tool of learning?
No, I think, in my opinion, it differs from that very strongly. Technology is a very important, useful tool for pedagogy. That's teaching, learning, and So, but however, whatever innovation you have, some people can misuse it, and that is what is happening here. And if I can cite you a few examples, it is much, much easier to teach large classes now, which is a very common phenomenon in Nigerian university system. Nigerian educational system, right from primary school, because of the surge in population that we have, young population. So, and we need to educate if not everybody, as much as possible.
I see that even primary schools now have the this what they call this, they are visual learning.
Yes, visual, yes.
Where you get a topic and then you just take videos online and then you play it for them. I think I've had a personal experience when after playing the video for the learners, at the end of the day, when it was time for their test and examination, as you're asking questions, they just pick it up so fast. It's like magic. It works like magic.
If you deploy those technologies, Fatima, very well, they are like magic. They are fantastic, especially for the young learners. You know, they catch on fast with some of these digital items, visual and video effects. So they catch on faster.
And on the part of the teachers, I feel like it has also made their job easier.
Much easier.
Because you just have to get a topic, put it online in your lesson plan, and then when you just play the video, it's like you're resting, and the technology is doing your job.
Fantastic. And then, you know, for the whole semester, all you will need to do is to prepare those materials. And you can take 1 month during break to prepare the materials for the courses that they are going to teach in the next semester or next term, as the case may be. And when you come, it's like you are resting.
Yes.
To even add to that, you know, you can teach online now. That technology was coming, but COVID accelerated the process such that because people would not come to the workplace because of this fear of congregating and spreading the virus. So the technology of this remote learning became very ubiquitous. So you have many systems now. You can stay in your home, present the lecture. You can say from anywhere in the world, present the lecture. So now that I was saying is making a statement about large classes. You know, we have large classes, 200, 500, because of the desire to educate as many as possible within regulations in large theaters or classrooms or halls. Now, it's difficult for a lecturer to control, if not impossible, 200, 100 students. But you have classes that are up to 500. In some universities and polytechnics, you have theaters, 1,000 theaters. How do you control them? But with this technology now, it's very easy. So you have visual and video effects, and everybody's attention is on the material. However, like I said, these are subject to abuse by everybody. So, and the funny thing is, you know, they are Gen Z. Yes. And now they are Gen A. And now there is Gen AI. So they are much more versatile with these technologies. Because, as you said, I came from Ahmadu Bello University. What we have done, we have been trying to measure up. Because whatever you do, these young children are faster. It is their own generation. But you have to do a lot to counter them. What the Senate of the university has decided is that every member of the teaching staff and non-teaching staff will be schooled properly in, especially now, that's the highest, artificial intelligence, AI, because that's now what they will deploy. Your classes now, some of them are, you know, are smart. They can see, they can read. So you may see one student may tell you this medicated glass, but he has all the what he wants to cheat in the examination. And on a virus, this is common on their pens. Sorry, they have many of these on their wristwatches. So my advice is for us to also, like I say, school, so that we can know how they, you know, plan to do these things, and then you can counter them. For instance, Ahmadu Bello University will say everything electronic that you have must be removed and dropped before you go into any exam hall. And the invigilator is mandated to ensure that students comply with this regulation. So you can go to a large extent, you can reduce the influence, but it will be difficult to eliminate it completely. We can reduce it very considerably.
Okay, so let's come back to systemic weaknesses. Is this simply a student problem, or does it expose bigger failures in Nigeria's education system?
A difficult question, but I think I'll attempt to respond. There is systemic failure, quite okay. We have been talking about gross underfunding of education in this country. So you see, this is evident from, you go to any primary school in any local government, of course, the constitutional education is in the concurrent list, so local government can fund education, state and federal. And local government deals with largely primary education, but federal government also contributes to primary education and secondary education and university education. So right from primary school, there's gross underfunding, and so this failure manifests throughout. But then there is also the contribution of society, of the parents themselves, of the students, the learners themselves. It is alleged that in schools now, parents contribute, a small amount during these external examinations, NECO, WAEC, JAM, so as to settle, the invigilators and all those that are involved, so that the students and some perhaps teachers will now, collude, as you said, to cheat in the examination. There are many, many allegations. Now they are beyond allegations with this report from JAM. I haven't read the report completely, but I think we have some excerpts of the report. I participated in a little way to the conduct of that examination through the registrar of JAM. So you can see it from that report. It's a systemic failure. Parents are involved, students are involved, the society, so much pressure. If in a society, let me tell you how society puts pressure on students or learners, as the case may be. You and I are neighbors, our children go to the same school, your child goes to the university, my child is not lucky this time. So you look down on my child as if it's a failure. We have to change our perspectives
Forgetting
completely.
that the sky is big enough for
It's
everyone
big,
to
more
fly.
than enough for everybody, more than enough for everybody. But see, if you look at our fingers, we're not all the same. We are not all the same, we are different. Some complexion are dark complexion, some are fat, some. So we are not the same. We shouldn't be treated
Likewise,
the
our
same.
IQs are not
Everything,
the same.
everything is
It's true.
different about it.
So
Every child, let me mention this, every child must be made to understand that it's special. Because I don't know mathematics does not mean that I will not be good in English or literature. If somebody is good in biology or medical science,
I don't think.
yeah. So everybody, every child must be made to understand. You don't.
I don't think.
Yeah. So everybody, every child must be made to understand that he's special. And so, what education management, I mean, a professional educationist, they have this cognitive, affective components, and then psychomotor.
Yes.
So, we want to look at those things very well and try to apply them practically on our kids. Let me give an example. Everybody wants to get a degree in this country, but that's not the end of life, getting a degree. I am a carpenter. I mention it everywhere. But I also I have a degree, many degrees, and so on and so forth. If I had time, I would have opened a studio. Now, I have had to visit. That's not the end of life, getting a degree. I am a carpenter. I mention it everywhere. But I also I have a degree, many degrees, and so on and so forth. If I had time, I would have opened a studio. Now, I have had to visit many countries, Russia, UK, Switzerland, many others, on the issue of this TVET, skills, development of skills. And if I remember rightly, in Switzerland, the very best candidates, normally they organize competition, international, they do national, they do international. This was an international one. And every country in the world that wanted to participated. The best student was a 16-year-old. Was in the field of electronics. In TVET you have many, many different years. Carpentry, joinery, masonry. This guy was in computing or electronics. And after the journalists were interviewing him as the best candidate, how about university education? He said, what did he need university education for? And his answer was, well, if he needed it, he would think about it in future. Because, so, you see, that pressure I was telling you, because we have constrained ourselves to thinking that the best is in the university or in the polytechnics or in the colleges of education. And so now you have constrained students to think that if they are not good at that, they are bad. They are not. They are fantastic.
I used to say this personally, that from our primary schools, there need to be a skill acquisition program. I think in some schools they've started implementing it, or some private schools have started implementing it. And I think when I visit some public schools, I see that some of these schools have materials for such learning. But although I have not really seen it in practice, but I want to see these learners learning these little skills, cooking, baking, tailoring. There's so many of it that someone could learn. I bake on the side, not for commercial purposes, but I learned it as a skill that I own, and I love to see it. I love to see little children doing such skills. It's really, really wonderful. Let's come back to the topic at hand. So we're going to talk about the impact on the future workforce. So what danger does this pose for the credibility of our graduates and Nigeria's future competitiveness?
Thank you very much. Very important question, a very big one too. But let me tell you a phenomenon. In the university system where I worked, I would say, I hope you won't think I'm biased about university system. Most universities do a lot to curb examination misconduct. A lot. That's why I brought you in this document. It's the regulation for examinations and how to manage them. There is the role for everybody, from the vice chancellor down to the teacher, who teaches the course and those who invigilate. So a lot is done to protect the integrity of the examinations. And I will assume that for most universities, they do the same thing. I say I assume, underline that one. And so you will see that if a Nigerian graduate happens to be anywhere outside this country, especially in Europe, they excel. So I want people to understand this, that there is a difference between what you are saying and then what people are saying about our graduates. Let me also add this one, it's not part of your question, that people say your graduates are not employable. I say it is not true. I, as Vice Chancellor, I think you will insult me to say that I'm producing students that are not employable. We have students in ABU, and I will assume in other universities too, who are employed as students. Already the mechanical engineer is in BMW company. They design and produce compressors. It's a mechanical engineer from our. We have many of them. That's just an example because it's a recent trip that I made. So we need to introspect. Quite okay, there are issues with the system, but this tough system that will help produce people that are very, very tough and resilient. Resilience is the word. They can survive anywhere. The little deficiencies that we have, for instance, we couldn't pretend we don't have enough equipment because of the underfunding. So you may find them a little bit low on equipment practice. But in theory, you can't beat Nigerian graduates anywhere. Medicine. A lot of graduates, when they go for residency or work in the UK, they are amazed at the amount of stuff they have on their head. They say, why do you have to retain so much in your head? This information is available. But here, you have to memorize them in Nigeria. So all you need, but they don't have the equipment. If you are talking about latest equipment, MRI machine, radiology machines, and other equipment, we don't have them. Give them the opportunity and they'll excel because they have all the theory, all the knowledge, and they have the practical skills that are so difficult. Without modern equipment, they still manage. So when they have modern equipment, they simply excel.
Nigerian doctors that could listen to a heartbeat just by touching a vein in your
Fantastic,
in your wrist.
excellent, and the cheapest training of doctors in the world.
And they get it right.
Everywhere, every time.
So let's quickly, because we are almost out of time.
Okay, sorry.
Let's go back. Let's go to solutions. What practical steps should regulators, school, and parents be taking now to reverse this tide?
Thank you very much. I will say my bit, but I think, as you know, this is a very large topic.
Yes.
there is a role for everybody. First and foremost is the home training. The parents must train their children, the dignity of knowledge, integrity, and their own name as a family. Unfortunately, as we said, it is alleged that the parents are involved in this. But that's my advice. Parents should, our parents, if you remember, well, you are not my age, but if during our time you were involved and your parents knew, you knew what the consequences would be.
I might not have gone.
That's what.
Oh my God.
The consequences.
I don't want my children to meet my dad when it comes to that.
So that is the point. So let's go back to that. Basics.
Yes.
2, teachers should be more vigilant
Yes.
in the schools, because some of us also are not. These children, I consider any student studying under me as my own child. So I treat them the way I would treat my child. So I train them. In the degree, you remember, is for character and learning. And somebody told us that there is a reason why character even came before the learning. So the character is even more important. So we as teachers should also try to inculcate this character in the students, not only the theories and the knowledge that we give them. 3, the system, like we said now, government at all levels should fund education so well. If there is funding, for instance, if this thing happens and you have CCTV in all classrooms, the amount of attempts at malpractice, misconduct will reduce very, very well. Fund education very well. These children are the future of any nation. Nobody plays with the future of their nation. I don't think there is any country that plays like Nigeria plays with, because we have a very large population, very, very large. The largest ones, China, India. See, go and check. They realize this. They have pumped money into education and training and skills. And then the US, we are probably, after Indonesia, Pakistan, we are probably the next. By 2050, we will be the largest, fourth or third largest population in the world. What are we doing about it? It's education, it is skills, it is empowerment. That's simple. So this is my advice for at all levels, from the parents, to teachers, to the government, and the society itself. When we were young, the society helped to train you. And that's why when we see some of these old people, many of them as community are dead. Anyway, so now we only pray for them. But then, any elder in the society was your father or mother, as the case may be. So you dare not misbehave in front of any elder, before any elder. Because when the elder, and he would punish you, but if any elder punished you, you dare not allow your parents to know. Because you receive some more beating. Yes, because you are going to spoil the